Manifesto for a New Russia by Ivan Ivanovich Petrov. Perceiving the history of the 20th century and taking into account the centuries preceding, the question that all of it boils down to is, who should rule the motherland? Should it be ruled by the peasant, the worker, he who toils for the very survival of the state in the factory, on the field, and in battle? Or should it be ruled by the nobleman, the thinker, the industrialist, whose mind is so far elevated and who can direct millions to fulfill his will? The answer is, of course, neither of them. Every action the pendulum takes causes an equal and opposite reaction, to the point where the motherland has been torn apart and there is nothing left to rule. The answer is, of course, also both. Through the mechanisms of democracy, both the peasant and the industrialist are given a voice. But it is insufficient if they envy each other and abhor the other till blood flows in the streets. A unifying force is needed that gives both an emotion larger than their respective enmity, the belief in the motherland and the willingness to do their utmost for the future of the state. That force needs a symbol, a man, someone they can see who leads them. Yet he can have no power, for he must not rule, lest he become a tyrant. No, he must be an example, a father figure, stern but loved. A woman in a fine fur coat leaned back leisurely in her chair in Gorky Park. The tension after the failed military coup was palatable in the air, and the gentleman sitting at the table with her looked around worriedly on occasion. "Has it been printed already?" he asked. "And how about this Ivan Ivanovich?" "We're ready to start distributing it, yes. And Petrov is a fictional person, of course," she replied. "We'll have the Swobodniks chasing a ghost, and the increased pressure should sour their relationship with the commoners. Distribute it among my fellow Octobrists first. That way, Savinkov will suspect us naturally, and he'll outrage the church and the countryside as well. We need the nationalist and religious sentiment on our side, and cement his image as a bloodthirsty dictator who got drunk on power." "As you wish, your illustrious highness," the man replied with a courteous bow while getting up from his chair. "I will inform his grace at once." While the dice are being cast in Moscow and Petrograd, and the people are getting increasingly concerned, we have other things to do because Russian troops are marching through Afghanistan. The purpose here is obviously to secure the heartland and to ensure that no enemy forces will eventually push into Russia proper that way. And this is just yet a first step to see if we can pacify the dominion of India and save our Afghani brothers. Now, we are playing a little gamble here because we have to keep a very close eye on where the Indian troops are going. We are pushing towards Lahore in what is effectively a... we are getting counterattacked now, which is effectively a rapid move. So we're going to have to defend against that counterattack first, which is effectively a rapid move that we need to secure the flanks of because we're not able to support our front line here at all. The question is, can we take Lahore? And for that, we will probably need the second division once it arrives. And I don't think these Indian troops have much of a... And we're going to be defending here first. Okay, second division is on the move. So let's see if we can... let's see what the front line is going to look like once the Indians are starting to position their troops here. I wish we had air support, but unfortunately that's not a possibility. So for now, we're just defending against the relatively feeble counterattack. But it looks like they are reinforcing Lahore quite a bit. We'll see if we can manage to push south. We'll just have to be careful because we have no eyes on the north here. So we do have to be somewhat careful not to be cut off. Right, the 34th Mountain Division is a little exhausted from the long march, so we do have to somewhat wait for them to become available. But we'll wait here and see if we can secure the western flank of Lahore. If the troops there are moving out, we are now getting Afghani militia as well, and it looks like the troops in Srinagar are not moving. But Things continue to move in Moscow. The trial of the misguided general. Well, misguided, I would say overambitious. After several tense meetings between Kornilov and Savinkov, the former finally relented to admitting his guilt on condition that he, and more importantly his subordinates, be spared. Presented before the Moscow court chambers through a detailed series of reports and witness statements, the story that emerged is one of fundamental and catastrophic misunderstandings. Kornilov, through intelligence gathered by the army, was convinced of Chernov's role in a wide-ranging conspiracy against the government, which included members of the SRS itself. Acting on his own initiative, Kornilov had Chernov assassinated. Fearing that Chernov's allies in the government remained at large, Kornilov believed the state was compromised and thus failed to coordinate effectively. The ensuing battle in the Kremlin was in fact a botched attempt to safeguard Savinkov against an attempt on his life. Yeah, not believing that for a second. Though his actions can be perceived as high treason and even as a possible putsch, the court found insufficient evidence to meet the high bar needed for a charge of treason. Nevertheless, Kornilov has been stripped of his post as Minister of War and pensioned off, symbolically retaining his rank solely out of respect for his past service. His accomplices have similarly been drummed out of the military, but have otherwise been unpunished due to their belief that they were serving Russia. Kornilov, speaking with the press from the court steps, has expressed his remorse that he led faithful soldiers astray, but maintains his belief that Chernov was acting to imperil Russia. The reactions to the verdict and Kornilov's statements have varied. The opposition is apoplectic that Kornilov has escaped justice despite admitting to Chernov's murder, and a large portion of the public is deeply uncomfortable that a simple miscommunication and vigilantism has led to so much bloodshed. The military, in turn, is very relieved to learn that their leader was simply wrong, but acted with noble intentions. We get 2% stability out of that. So the plan has worked, and obviously we have now lost our chief of army, but the plan has worked in that we are not increasing the anger of the military. What we are, however, going to be doing now is making a move that has long been prepared, because we get to replace Kornilov. And it looks like we have two choices. Having commanded the Russian army since the final days of the Great War, Lavr Kornilov's absence has left a vacancy that no small amount of effort can hope to fill. The army's mood is fractious, and we must tread carefully with the choice of successor. The army is largely divided between two men, Anton Denikin and Pyotr Wrangel, both of whom were among Kornilov's closest associates. Sergei Markov was briefly considered, but he quickly issued a statement declaring both a lack of interest in the position and a conflict of interest due to his close friendship with both other candidates. Unfortunately, such a friendship can't be said to exist between Denikin and Wrangel. Denikin, a son of peasants, earned his general's epaulettes through the unimpeachable courage and tenacity of an elite infantryman and artillery officer. Disdainful of politics, Denikin has nevertheless come to accept his place as the army's highest-ranking Republican, though he has reportedly still not become comfortable enough with politicians to shake Savinkov's hand. Wrangel, meanwhile, hails from an ancient family of Baltic German nobility, and though his merits are beyond question, he is far more comfortable with intrigue and court politics than the gruff Denikin. Wrangel's past service was as a cavalry officer in the famously monarchistic Guards Corps, but as a general he has instead dedicated himself to elevating the capabilities of Russia's humble conscripts with much more academic approach towards military affairs. So we will obviously now, because we have been conspiring with and we have Pyotr Wrangel on our side, given that Wrangel is a monarchist, and that is in our interest, and that is the direction we are trying to guide the country in as the men and women who are pulling the strings behind the scenes here. So we have two choices. We can get Wrangel, which he's giving a supply, max planning, and 0.3 army experience. And we get the army after Kornilov factor, obviously, for 180 days, which is going to be the same for the other one. Yeah. We are getting Or we could get Denikin, but yeah, we don't. I actually prefer the values on Denikin's side, but I think Wrangel is where we are going to go. So he will serve the country well. All right, with that out of the way, while the 34th is recovering a bit from its rapid advance, and I think we have supply here because we have control over a river line. So despite the fact that the railway isn't yet connected, we have supply here. And the 59th is in position, and we'll see if there's an opening to capture the western approaches towards Lahore. And if we can manage to push in there, I would just have to, yep, there's our opening, I think. Now, unfortunately, yeah, we have to defend the supply hub. So I don't think we'll manage to get there before the other division does. But I have nobody to pin them because I need the other division in place here. If this doesn't work, then we'll just assault Lahore directly from the north. Wrangel is pleased. Flashing camera bulbs have captured a historic moment in the Russian army's history as President Savinkov and General Field Marshal Wrangel co-signed a comprehensive reform package aimed at revitalizing Russia's capacity to wage war. Though the exact details have been withheld as a concession of secrecy, Savinkov and Wrangel have both discussed their intent to prepare the brave Russian everyman, the frontovik and factory worker alike, for tomorrow's war. While some within the army questioned the wisdom of such a glacial approach to war-making, the thought of stout defenses and improved conditions has proven very popular with the Russian public. Yeah, nobody wants to see an aggressive war, although we do have to recapture lost territory. In a closed meeting with the Stavka, General Field Marshal Denikin is reported to have delivered a scathing critique of Savinkov's chosen military policy directly to the president's face. Denikin, channeling the same professionalism and renowned bluntness that he had once used with Kerensky, did not mince his words when it came time to decry the idiocy and cowardice that Savinkov was condemning the army to by following Wrangel's archaic lead. And with that, Denikin has lost all credibility, and the monarchist Wrangel is securely in power to lead us to our political direction. And he is not. He is a smart man, so we will see how that goes. Right, troops have not yet arrived in China. That's going to be on March 10, so in 3 days. But for now, we are moving south. Let's see if we can take the. East bank of the river before the enemy troops make their way there. I could move the 34th out and pin them here, but the problem is that then they might retake the supply hub, which means we're out of range of supply and all other kinds of problems. All right, first of all, Australia, the restoration of democracy in Australasia. Australasian Confederation has been under the authoritarian rule of Governor-General William Burwood since the British invocation of the emergency protocols in 1924. Considered by many in the nation to have been a heavy-handed response to the Melbourne Commune syndicalist uprising. Burwood finally relented to calls for an open election, leading to the expected result of Stanley Bruce's United Australia Party achieving a majority government in the Canberra Parliament. Bruce is expected to have a tough time ahead of him, with labour unrest on the rise and calls for the revocation of Burwood's more egregious restriction on personal liberty. So the Australasian Confederation is going democratic, and we do have a rising trouble in Russia with the unemployment spike, where people at the highest risk of being laid off are those on the payroll of German-owned corporations. But the effect has obviously spread to more patriotic companies. It is not only a matter of employers closing down their businesses, but also losing their contracts and customers. Many industrial sectors in Russia still rely on German trade, despite attempts towards self-sufficiency by the SZRS's economic reforms over the past year. As orders dry up, the workers lose their jobs. As fewer people have money to spare, the demand for goods crumbles lower and lower. And with that, the Black Monday actually gets worse. So that's an additional 10% consumer goods factories, 5% stability, and 15% factory output. Ouch. So the Black Monday is now hitting us really hard. We should be all right in terms of equipment. We're a bit short of infantry equipment, but that's something we'll deal with when it gets to that. We might have to demobilize some divisions if it comes to that, but we've got 10 factories on infantry equipment still, despite the fact that our factory output is now at minus 76%. So that's not an awful lot of rifles being produced. So we will see. We will see with what we can do with what we have at hand to make things happen in Afghanistan and in 2 days also in China. The Russian economy is obviously very, very dependent on. We don't know when they are. In 3 hours. Okay, I think they beat us there. Yes, they beat us there, unfortunately. But they have, and that's a river crossing. So it is an under strength division, however. But I don't think it's worth fighting this if we can just assault Lahore directly. So I think we will not run this, but instead this would have secured the southern flank, though. Maybe we will fight this. And see if we they are immediately counterattacking us. So let's defeat let's defend against the counterattack first. And 2 divisions have arrived in Nanjing. We'll see. Okay, so we are being counterattacked at the Punjab supply hub that we're holding. So the 34th is on the defense, and they're counterattacking north. And we do not want to be cut off, which is why I would like to expand the front line here somewhat. Troops in Srinagar are still not moving, but we are now facing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Indian divisions against our 2, and the Afghani militia so far hasn't been involved. So we'll defend. We will defend against the, and yeah, we obviously fighting under red air without anti-air, so there's not an awful lot we can do to defend ourselves here. However, these infantry divisions are not particularly powerful, and they are undersupplied. So we will wait. We will wait for that. We will defend, and then we'll see if we can launch a counterattack. A counterattack somewhere. In order to widen the lines here a little bit for an assault onto Lahore, which is the eventual goal of the whole operations. The Afghani troops have been pushed back in the south from their forward positions, so not much happening there. But we do have the volunteers in Nanjing now, which are going to be in need of a capable field marshal. So we've got 2 front lines to work with, and we shall be. Who are we going to appoint? We're going to be employing Markov, I think. Yeah. So we'll reassign Markov here. Again, I'm not using the command power to upgrade the generals just yet because I simply don't know who's surviving. But we have a comparatively little country to work with. So let's have a look. We do have 2 tank divisions. So let's have a quick look at the terrain and see where's the most promising area that we could operate in. This is a few river crossings, hilly territory, but most of it is relatively flat. So the northern part should be the best territory for the tanks to operate. Supply lines, not so much existing. There's very little in terms of actually connected. It'd be good to push. There's very little in terms of supply on the ground. Are we holding? No, we're not holding any of these supply positions in the north. They are threatening Nanjing, however. So I'm almost tempted to move there first, and then see how's the. We could push south, and try to break through and potentially encircle somebody. So let's go for smaller operations because there's a fair amount of enemy divisions on the field, and we do not wish for Nanjing to fall. So I will go there first, and we will see if we can. We'll see if we can secure this. Maybe we can break through in the center here and cut off the whole. While we still have troops here, we're going to cut off the whole area. So we'll see if we can cut off the whole southern region salient, and push the defensive line all the way up to the river. Okay, so that's where the tanks are going to go. First of all, tanks move to Nanjing. And I'm going to need to switch frequently now, so shortcuts it is. We could hire somebody into the government, but not doing that. Saving up the political power either to go into early mobilization or to use the relief work decisions if they cost political power, which I don't know, while we are trying to deal with that Black Monday situation, because that is not a good situation. Okay, so we'll have to. The next question: can we? Do we have air bases available where we can actually deploy? No, it looks like we cannot also deploy an air force with just the 2 divisions on over here. And the same problem here. We can't. We don't actually have an option to deploy the Russian Air Force, which is very unfortunate. All right. So for now, we are waiting out the counterattacks here, holding the line, and I don't think, despite the fact that we had no time to dig in, I don't think they will have. Even though they do have the air support, I don't think they'll get much done. And the military has seized the power in Mexico. Okay. Mexican revolutionary Emilio Zapata has passed away, and with his death, Mexico has been thrown again into chaos. While the most ardently loyal members of the government still had faith in a swift recovery, the freedom fighter and, until today, leader of Mexico has left a power vacuum that will not be easily healed. In the midst of Zapata's fatal shooting on the streets of Mexico City, right-wing elements within the military have seized their chance. Having been in opposition to the Mexican government since Obregón took power, they have now take full control of Mexico and aim to restore rightful rule to stop the rampant chaos. So Mexico, despite the fact that it is very much on the socialist side politically, is currently actually run by a military government. We'll see if they can hold themselves. Tanks are on the move. Nanjing doesn't look like it's about to fall anytime soon, so we can continue keeping an eye on the Afghanistan situation, where we are now starting to see more. Special forces starting to arrive. So, and they are now pushing us from the north as well. So it looks like they have managed to bring in reinforcements before we could take the capital, which is unfortunate. So I think we might actually be on the defensive here for now, unless the Afghanis can manage to bring some troops in and actually take control of the situation. That would be great. We should be able to hold out here in the south without too much trouble, and it's good that we've defended the lines here because the troops in Srinagar have finally realized what's going on and are pushing. I don't think even with air support, I don't think they will have too much of a chance. This is a relatively powerful mountain divisions, despite the fact that there are now special forces attacking us. We are, and we're not actually in the mountains. I think we can hold that. But back to Moscow. Savinkov obviously still being on his path to consolidate power. Under the 1922 Constitution, Article 36 grants the President of the Republic power to declare a state of security, which sounds like martial law, with the approval of the State Council, which he didn't have control over until recently. Savinkov's last attempt in 1934 to use the state of security was curbed as it did not pass the State Council, and was followed by Kornilov's warning that if the constitution is ignored, the military had no other option but to act. Well, about that. Based on the current instability, the new state of security has been declared, and unsurprisingly, it passed the State Council where the opposition is broken. The state of security was originally added to the constitution due to the demands of the army, who saw the need for dictatorial powers in case of a communist uprising or similar public unrest. This comes out of the civil war, which the whites have won, and has been used in 1929 and then again in 1932 to quell Tambov unrest, in practice having little to no restrictions. The state of security allows executive decrees to bypass almost all constitutional guarantees concerning personal and political freedom, property, and judicial rights. The only provision for ending such a state is by a vote of the State Council, which we now have under control, given that the opposition, after Chernov has been eliminated, is is shattered. Immediately after the decree, Chairman Minister Dikov announced the suspension of various civil rights, empowering the police, and a great expansion of powers of the law enforcement to hunt those seeking to destabilize our great Russia. So as desired, Savinkov is now putting the screws on, which hopefully will increase popular anger at some point. For now, we get 5% stability out of it, which is mostly because of Black Monday and other problems. Not the greatest. So, quickly checking. Okay, the first tanks are arriving, and it's good that we are arriving because I think why we are losing a lot of. Oh no, because we just shipped in. That's why we don't have organization. It's good that we are arriving in Nanjing because I think the defense here is they are running forced attacks from all directions. So that is a pretty critical point right now here, where we do have to hold against that assault. The tanks are not yet involved, but we've got another tank division coming in. Unfortunately, they have very low organization at this point because they just exited the boats. So it's more like bringing a few scattered tanks into the area. I don't think they can break this. I think that does not look sufficient in terms of fighting power. Okay, back to Afghanistan, where we have to hold the positions here, and we have to. This should be holdable. I'm not seeing how this could break us that easily. Not with a significantly higher defense, and we have attack higher than breakthrough, so we should be able to hold that. We should be able to hold that without too much trouble. Yes, despite the fact that that planes are involved and we get bombed. But this is that's Britain. Okay, what's happening in Britain? Sylvia Pankhurst was elected chairwoman of the TUC. 1936 Trade Union Congress was made out to be decisive. Chairman Tom Mann declared his resignation. Okay, so they have a new leader who is a radical feminist. Okay, good luck fighting the Germans. And back to Afghanistan, where there's absolutely nothing wrong with feminism. It's just always a matter of place and time. The death of Pius XI. Okay, that doesn't actually concern us too much because we're Orthodox, so that's the Catholic Pope. But all Christendom mourns the death of His Holiness Pope Pius XI, who died following a heart attack after having been in declining health for the past several years, something which rapidly worsened following Black Monday. The Holy Father will soon be interred with the rest of his predecessors in the tomb of the popes. Until the next pope can be chosen, the papal state will be ruled by the College of Cardinals. Okay. And not too much that we have to deal with there. Just checking, both of the tank divisions are now involved, but they haven't started reinforcing yet. We'll just have to defeat that forced attack and then get the tanks to organize themselves. And yeah, I think the attacks here are going to be held back. The problem is we can't move the 59th south because then we'll be just cut off because we're not holding the right positions here. So, okay. Despite the fact that we're now open, given that the Srinagar troops are now actually attacking us in the north, I don't think we can. Yeah, we can't move south because then we'll be cut off from supply and potentially destroyed. So that means the 34th is relatively alone when it comes to the assault on Lahore. So let's actually plan that properly. For now, we'll just defend here, and we will see if opportunity arises at some point. But we're going to need the 59th to hold the supply lines here. Maybe if Afghani troops can join in, that would be good. In China, we're still fighting, and we're still waiting for the field marshal to arrive as well. So tanks are now engaging, and with the support of the tanks, I think and there's some counterattacks now running as well. I think holding Nanjing, despite the fact that our tank divisions are pretty scattered, isn't going to be too much of a problem. Okay, further counterattacks out of Lahore. We might be able to. I'm sort of hoping for a counterattack there. What we could try is to push north towards Srinagar, but that would leave us. Yeah, we could do that if we secure the north near Srinagar and manage to push these troops back. Then we could secure the supply line, and we just have to hope the south is holding. Let's try. Let's see if we can run an attack north towards Srinagar. And nope, they're immediately counterattacking from the south. Okay. All right, let's wait for that then. Lahore is unfortunately defended. How are we doing in terms of losses on this side? No major losses on either side really, but okay. Well, it looks like too many enemy troops to secure the lines here, unfortunately. And Pius XII has been elected as new pope. Good luck with that. And we are okay. We are on the counterattack, but I'm going to let the tank divisions organize themselves before we are going any further. A bit of a stuck situation here, really, because we just don't have enough troops. We might be able to counterattack south. Okay, we're being attacked from both directions now, which means that if we move, either of these two divisions is going to move in. But it looks like the Afghani troops in the north. There's a cavalry division which has crossed the river, which is actually ideal because that means we might be able to. We might be able to. If they start securing the northern line here, then we might be able to move after all. We could risk a counterattack towards Lahore. I don't think we have a river line here that we need to deal with. It is in the hills, and it is currently very hot because we're up in March already. But we are getting frequently counterattacked by relatively strong, especially that the 18th Special Forces Division in Lahore is going to be a little bit of an issue. And they are shipping additional troops in. So I think moving at the moment is kind of out of the question here. Even more reinforcements along the lines, and they're probably working to secure the northern flank here. But we might have just have to content ourselves with having pulled a lot of Indian troops out. But I think the Afghanis are way outnumbered at this point. And unless they are making powerful moves, we will just be defending for now. In Afghanistan and in China, the tanks are ready to join the attack. So we will begin, and I think we have an opening here. Yeah, we can break through Wuhu. What's the supply situation here? We have the Nanjing supply hub. So as long as this doesn't fall, and I think it'll be all right, we can push to reconnect. The territory and see if we can rescue the troops there. So let's push along the river line. And simply direct straight along the river line to reconnect the troops there. So, and we'll get the second tank division to widen the front line a little bit. So joining that attack, and I think we can. They have reinforced that, but I don't. Once our tanks get in, I think they will be in good shape. Afghanistan is holding. This division is getting very weak, but we can't move because of the division north in Kashmir. And Lahore is at this point defended sufficiently that we would need both divisions in order to take it, which we simply just don't have the manpower for. So we'll just defend here for now. We'll see how this goes. And socialist delegates around the world are gathered in and around Paris for the latest Congress. Okay, Third International. Top of the agenda is spread of revolutionary fervor, particular to Asia and North America, conflict in Spain, policy on colonialism, and requirements for membership of the International Military Alliance. Interesting development for sure. Spain, Kingdom of Spain is going to be interesting. We might have to send some troops there. But for now, Afghanistan, there's way too many Indian troops for us to really do anything here. We don't even have an opportunity to really encircle anybody, and we can't push north towards Srinagar because we'll be immediately cut off. We could give up the supply hub in Punjab here, simply because it It doesn't give us it gives us a good forward base, but it doesn't deprive the troops in the north there, unfortunately, because they seem to have sufficient local supply. And see if we can cut off the troops in the north near Srinagar, make that move north. See if we can manage to cut off and destroy the north and the troops in the north and just secure the flank. But that'll open up the whole flank here to an Indian counterattack from these relatively powerful troops here. So I think static. We're going to be static here for a while. Let's observe the tank forces in the meantime, and see where we're moving here. We are trying to break through towards Wuhu and see if we can manage to rescue these 2 divisions that are stuck there in the south. It'd be great if the 5th from German East Asia would actually move. Are we fighting on the same side as German East Asia? It looks like. Oh well. For now, we have slightly differing interests, but we shall see. We have very positive opinion of each other. We both have sent volunteers. And they have a non-aggression pact with German East Asia, but it would actually have been probably useful to be on the other side of the German troops. But I prefer to have a government that is at least somewhat sympathetic towards us, because do not have to deal with ungratefulness here. All right, I think the push towards Wuhu here is going to be working. We are consistently facing counterattacks here, but I think these divisions are starting to dig in. Yeah, we don't have we're not getting any. Oh, we're getting a 0.5 army experience. That's why. How do we get rid of? I think that just times out. Yeah, and in September. Okay, so until September. We're not getting any army experience, which is unfortunate, but at least the units get some experience. That's to be said. All right, so tanks are fighting their way through. They still need to actually join the fight here. Fighting their way through Wuhu, and we'll see if we can manage to rescue the cut-off divisions. But it is going to be a close shave, and we're being counterattacked again and pinned in Nanjing. So. The moves, the consistent enemy counterattacks are not giving us the freedom of movement that we would like here. All right, so once again we'll have to wait out a forced counterattack. They really want to destroy these 2 divisions, and I'm not sure we can make the breakthrough unless we can break out from here more rapidly. But they're consistently attacking us here, so. Unless we can actually begin the attack sooner rather than later, it's going to be difficult to. And yeah, they are. They're funneling increased number of troops in now, so this is starting to look rather dire, to be honest. If we're looking at the amount of territory that we've got left here, it's not an awful lot. So they're pushing quite rapidly from the north. And we'll run an operation. We'll see if we can get the tanks to break out from here and to move through. We could be mollifying the people, but Savinkov definitely has no interest in that. And we could send the army to deal with stability issues. Not really an interest in that either. How far are we away from relief work? 4 more days. Okay, so Afghanistan stable in the face of consistent counterattacks. Lahore actually relatively undefended. The problem obviously being that we don't have sufficient. I would love to assist with that, but I think they're attacking here, so not a combat that we can actually join. I think we could possibly assault Lahore. The problem is if we take Lahore, we will be immediately cut off in the north, which means we would have to, and we can't move south because then we'd be cut off from here. So unless the Kashmir situation is cleared, we can't really move here. So let's focus on the tanks in China and see if we can manage a breakout here and push the enemy troops back. I think tanks are finally starting to engage and are going to be starting to do some damage. Obviously consistent counterattacks towards Nanjing, but I think the troops in the south are actually in fact lost. So I don't really see much happening here unless we can very rapidly expand this and without being cut off afterwards. Tanks to the rescue. Maybe we can rescue one division here, we will see. But I'm simply going to be driving with both. That is highly risky actually if we're driving with both tank divisions through. I might leave the one tank division behind. Oh no, the Chinese are following up. Okay, so they're holding the lines here, so we can keep sending both tank divisions through in order to reconnect and hopefully rescue the divisions here before they get encircled and destroyed. The northern might hold. The northern one might hold, and then once we've cut off the enemy completely here, they do have a port in Wenzhou, but and obviously here, yeah. So, but maybe then we can start rolling up the. We could just go for the enemy capital, honestly. We could make a dash for. No, they're retreating over the. Okay, we might do a dash for the enemy capital. So this is clear. So we can actually redirect the tanks and see if we can overtake the enemy to the enemy capital, while the more exhausted first armored division is going to join here and rescue the embattled southern divisions. Okay. Afghanistan stable, under attack but stable, but more political, and it is still frozen in Russia despite the fact that it's March already. More political things happening. Slashchev publishes his Unfought War. With great fanfare, General Yakov Slashchev has published his hotly anticipated sequel to his earlier magnum opus, Maneuver, the Key to Victory. Titled The Unfought War, his new book builds on his earlier theories on armored warfare, emphasizing that rapid changes in tank technology have already rendered most existing countermeasures to mass tanks obsolete. A prolific writer and professor at the officers' school in Petrograd, he's made waves both with his writing and persona. Okay. The book has become a bestseller in military circles and remains to be seen which side will be set next. 5 army experience, nice. Given that I probably have negative army experience at the moment, can I immediately spend that on anything? We have added an infantry battalion, which is currently causing trouble with the amount of rifles that we have available. But I think we can't change. Yeah, we can't distinguish between reinforcements of troops that are in combat and that are not in combat. So all we can do is make sure that the troops that we actually have are getting preferred treatment. So let's make sure that that they get any new equipment before everybody else. Because these are the troops that we are currently actually using actively. All right, can we use that for anything else? I don't really think so. We could. No, we don't have enough to add anything here. These are locked, so we can't add anything here either. No, not really anything we can do with it. Unfortunately, it might go to waste. But let's see how our rapidly advancing. Well, came kind of timely. How our rapidly advancing tank divisions are doing. Before that, actually, a relief work organization has completed. Nice. So now we can't do. Oh, we can't do these actually because we need the Voshchod program first. Okay, that's unfortunate. So, but that gives us a couple of. First of all, it's relieved the Black Monday crisis a little bit. So we only got minus 45% factory output. So we are producing almost 20 rifles a day. Amazing. And we have a few decisions available to us now. And that's what I was saving up the political power for. So what does this give us? So we have to spend some factories. We get infrastructure, and then we get Black Monday relief. That's infrastructure, and that's infrastructure as well. Okay, so 4% consumer factories. We can do all of them. So, well, 2 of them, and then once we have 40 available, we'll do the next one. That's good, but that means next up we do have to go towards the Voshchod program in order to start the rest of the relief works. So we'll have to establish the VES, the Supreme Economic Council, to combat inflation and unemployment in the short term. Okay, so we'll do that next. And then we shall see if we can take Anqing, the enemy capital, before they actually realize what's going on here. And we are probably going to need, there is a division coming in from the north. We have now relieved the embattled divisions here. So the problem obviously is we're going to be cut off ourselves here in a moment. So I'm going to rush already the first tank division back in order to retake the territory. Once the and hopefully the divisions here can manage themselves. And yeah, we have been cut off briefly, but I think we should be able to break our way through that without too much trouble. 2 enemy divisions here. We're still pushing north towards Anqing. It might actually be advisable at this point. I think the first tanks can break out of this without with the help from the Chinese from the other side. We'll see if we can. We haven't managed to overtake the 5th division here, unfortunately. But I'm not sure if we can actually take the territory here now. We might just actually abort that. I thought we might be able to get over the bridges quicker, but it turned out it was not the case. These divisions need to retreat, but maybe we'll just send the first. Well, they're both the first. It's just slightly different first tank divisions. We'll probably send them to reconnect the territory here in the south instead, and focus on clearing everything out. But Petrograd, things are getting heated now in the cold. With the SZRS now having control over the Supreme Court, the last legal barriers to Savinkov's dictatorship have been removed, and the opposition is furious, seeing their hopes for Savinkov's fall slip away. Yet another demonstration was held in Petrograd, with many of the Republican left decrying Savinkov as a tyrant hell-bent on destroying Russian democracy. So our task now is to feed Savinkov selective intelligence to convince him of what the best course of action is. We can either let them demonstrate, which is going to increase the popular anger, or we can send in the military, which is going to cost us stability. So we are going to inform Savinkov that there are minor protests from disenfranchised opposition figures, but the local police has everything under control, and there is no need for any further violence in order not to anger the people. Which of course is going to let the anger of the people run free, and obviously the people living in Petrograd are not particularly thrilled about disgruntled opposition figures running rampant in the streets. But popular anger is going to increase because Savinkov does not realize what's going on here, and the people are now very concerned, which is good. This is what we want. No opportunities in India whatsoever. I think the cavalry division in the north here have sort of stabilized, but the Indians are actually pushing back in the south, which is very unfortunate. We may at some point have to do a Hail Mary towards Lahore. Unfortunately, I can't actually see how the wars are going, I think. Current wars. No, I can. The Afghan-Canadian war. So we are. Where's India? Dominion. There it is. Okay, so I think even taking the capital is not going to. It's not going to immediately end the conflict. So that would just risk getting our troops cut off immediately from the other directions here. So I don't think we can move anywhere here. We might have to actually really give up on this salient and try to push north and clear out Kashmir, because otherwise, let's clear out this. Let's clear out the China situation first. So we'll abandon our attempts at taking Anqing, and instead focusing on, and actually the enemy troops are moving further, so let's focus on breaking out from here, and we're waiting for the other tank division to join. I'll focus on breaking out from here and reconnecting the territory. In fact, we might be able to, we'll divert the, oh no, they're bringing in reinforcements from the south. This is not good. And I'm not sure, okay, the tanks are now engaged, but we should be able to break through that. Unfortunately, we are now running out of fuel and ammunition. So we're trying to prevent reinforcements in the south from getting through, but it does not look great with these two tank divisions cut off, and the Chinese being able to reinforce that breach, unfortunately. That was a risk that we were taking, a bridge too far, you could say, but back to Moscow. Russia has struggled with the question of how to both modernize and organize its vast countryside. Until the interruption by the Great War, the Stolypin reforms attempted to dismantle the Mir, the traditional peasant village, in favor of modern smallholders. The chaos of 1917 instead brought far more radical change, the Black Partition, as peasants took advantage of the breakdown of order to seize land for themselves. The subsequent SR Cadet land reforms of 1923 were as much an attempt to restore order as they were a redistribution campaign. The reforms granted villages significant autonomy, while also allowing peasants to rent nationalized land at very low prices. Unfortunately, the campaign's other results were mixed. So, land reform only kind of works if you actually have a hold on the country. Otherwise, people will take matters in their own hands. Though the peasants gained a large deal of acreage, the reforms were tarnished not only by enormous corruption in the land committees, unsurprisingly, but also by unclear intent over who would be receiving the land. The government purchased vast tracts from landowners at below market prices, but much of it would find itself in the hands of industrialists and wealthy peasants rather than the needy. Because what do you know, as soon as somebody becomes wealthy, very quickly, the idea of take from the rich, give to the poor is losing a lot of its appeal. Where were we? Attempts to fix the reform's flaws crumbled under the bickering of the SR and the cadets. President Savinkov thus finds himself with the unenviable job of correcting 2 decades of the old coalition's shortcomings. As it is in politics, no one is keen for a repeat of 32's peasant revolts in Tambov, which saw peasants gunned down after riots erupting in the wakes of the cadets' refusal to renegotiate land sales. The SRS Minister of Agriculture, Pavel Ageyev, has outlined an ambitious program to correct past errors. Councils of judges, civil servants, agronomists and surveyors will be mobilized across Russia and granted the authority to rule on cases of land division. Most are expecting the council to simply parcel out fresh land. However, meeting the peasants' wishes must be balanced with consolidating uselessly small plots into livable allotments, even if some peasants are then obligated to find work elsewhere. Land is only part of the equation. Russia's farms must be modernized and expanded if they are to feed not only the growing population, but also the state's coffers. So we will have to make choices, and it will grant stability, political power, and party popularity. Okay, let's see how this goes. Stability, I'm all for. Party popularity, not so much. Is there any decision available? No. We're just waiting to begin roadworks in the Volga basin. But right now, things... Okay, we are actually getting severely counterattacked here now at this point. It is, again, night. Entrenchment does help, but we don't have the land doctrine yet. So I'm not getting the buffs to entrenchment. And that means the consistent counterattacks here are starting to wear things a little thin. But more importantly, we do need to get the tanks out of here now. So let's focus on pushing back the Chinese attempt at encircling us here. Otherwise, we might have to break out north towards Anqing and see if we can sort things out there. How is this looking? We've got the tanks engaged, but we are... the supply is starting to become a bit of an issue. However, we might be able to break through there. They're sending reinforcements in, unfortunately, which is not something we want. Worst case, we will have to escape towards Anqing and see if we can see if we can reconnect elsewhere, but or try to break through south. Well, we will see how that goes. Unfortunately, once the tanks run out of fuel, moving them is going to be very difficult. Multiple banks in Moscow and Petrograd have informed the Ministry of Finance they are rapidly running out of their cash reserves, and most of their investments, often secured by German bonds, have collapsed alongside the German financial market. See, that's the problem if you have a reserve. If somebody is an empire and makes their currency the world's reserve currency, and everybody holds their bonds as foundation of their financial system, and then it collapses. The news is gloomy. If the Russian state bank doesn't bail out at least the largest of these banks, the domino effect could continue uncontrollably. Oh yeah, quantitative easing, let's do that. However, it is impossible to shelter all the banks at risk. While many financial advisors argue that the investment ability of the banks should be our priority, such a bailout would seem as prioritizing money of investors over that of common men. And what do we need to convince Savinkov of? We can make Black Monday worse and increase popular anger, or we can make Black Monday worse and lose political power and improve the. We will convince Savinkov that despite the fact that they are the party of the people, if the banks fall, then the people are in deeper trouble anyway. So we have to prioritize the fiscal stability. It is important to maintain the banking system, lest the whole economy go down. So that again makes Black Monday worse, but increases popular anger by 1, which we are after. So popular anger is now very concerned. We need 2 points more to get it to 8. And how is the situation? Okay, we do need to make our break here and try to prevent reinforcements from arriving. While we are on, they have reinforced even further. Okay, I am going to start sending all tanks now into that breach here, because we do need to try to reconnect, but we might not be able to break through there. There are so many of them. Okay, we'll send the weaker divisions south and see if we can make our way through there. Electronic mechanical engineering is complete, so mechanical computing would be the next one. I'm almost tempted to go for radio, actually. This is not yet happening. Nothing here we need to do at this point. This would be kind of useful, but I think we'll just go on the traditional route. Mechanical computing at the moment. 15% research speed is fine, and we can begin the roadworks in the Volga basin. And I think our construction has pretty much ground to a halt at this point, because we have so many. Black Monday it means that the civilian factories are very much not available anymore for anything. This fight is going to be a hard one, so let's bring the other division down south and see if we can manage to reconnect there. The problem is obviously they are running out of fuel, so they are going to be pretty. They're going to be pretty slow, and the divisions here are not helping, unfortunately. If they let themselves go, they're going to be cut off. So the rescue operation might have been in vain even, and we now have to rescue ourselves here. Kurt von Schleicher has been appointed Reichskanzler. Elections have been held in the German Empire, and the Schleicher's, we know about von Schleicher. So he is serving the Kaiser, yes. Von Schleicher is, for now, the Reichskanzler. We will see how that goes. And Shatilov has been fallen ill, which is unfortunate. But we are trying to break our tank divisions out from here and to reconnect to the mainland, lest we need to move north in... Well, we'll see where we can move. For now, we are... For now, we are cut off, but not able to scrounge some fuel from local sources here. And it looks like these 2 divisions simply cannot get out. So reconnecting that might not even help if they're being cut off here. But we will see. We will see what we can do. It's mobile warfare, and we'll do what we can. Anyway, what happens in Russia again? Man lives and breathes murder, walks in bloody darkness and dies in bloody darkness. At least some are following Savinkov's words. As last night, an unknown assailant shot and killed a high-ranking SZRS party official from Ufa, Mikalim Vedenyapin Stegeman. A manhunt has been launched and at least 17 people have been arrested for possible connections to communist activities. Stegeman was a prominent old Swobodnik and Savinkov's trusted man in the area, and the whole assassination does make the security services look ineffective. A common joke is already being circulated about VRBO's assassins using Savinkov's own books as guides on how to assassinate SZRS officials. Though naturally, it is not a joke that is proper to say, or one might get branded as an opponent of the party, which generally tends to cause more trouble. So Savinkov is now not only imagining uprisings and trouble everywhere, but it is coming true. And that is going to cause 15% resistance in Chechnya. How is the resistance situation actually? It is not good, which means we can probably deploy our, what are the resistance targets here? Last time I looked, the resistance targets weren't that high. It's going down. Where's the other? Oh, it is going down, but we'll try to get it down further. Are we having trouble with occupation? No, we are 99% efficient. Okay, so that's good still, because we're not producing an awful lot of rifles, but we are, I think, not going to be able to hold the position in India here. So I think, that there's simply too many enemy troops here pushing, and they have aerial superiority. So especially that 19th Special Forces is trouble. So what we might do is we might fall back from here and then try to move north towards Srinagar and see if we can clear out some of the northern positions and simply abandon as long as we hold Peshawar and we have supply from there, I think the forward position can be abandoned, especially that we have a river line here. So let's see for how long they can hold out from there, but we are, more importantly, trying to break out from this position here. And we have retaken. Okay, we have retaken Hangzhou, but the friendly infantry is now in deep trouble. This is all not great, at least, but at this point we are going to have to try to reconnect our tank forces first. If the friendly infantry divisions are surrendering, then there is not an awful lot we can do about it. But we do need to secure the lines here, and I don't think we'll be breaking through here. We might be able to break through. The problem is supply. Yes, the problem is supply. Holding the lines here is more important at this point. We are losing the friendly infantry there. We are now being counterattacked, so okay, this is less than ideal. So we'll focus both tank divisions on trying to break the northern stranglehold, while the friendly infantry has been defeated. There was not much we could do about this in the end, but friendly troops are breaking through successfully towards Hangzhou. So if we can manage to break out here and potentially join the fight and connect in the south, because we're not getting through here in the north, and it looks like the Mingan insurgency in the south is causing us trouble as well. Although they are fighting on the other side, we may be able to connect towards Hangzhou if need be. But for now, we'll see if we can break this. We can break this stalemate here and get our tanks through. We've still got a tank division that needs to be engaged, and we'll see if we can manage to break them. Low supply not helping, and yes, we are not holding this position where we're falling back here and defending there To destroy the peasants' common land is to destroy the soul of Russia. However, it is no secret that traditional strip farming is not only inefficient, but also that central Russia simply lacks the land needed to sustain all its peasants. If every Russian is to prosper, then there is little choice but to consolidate fields, efficiency, and direct the excess rural population to nearby cities or across the Urals into Siberia and Turkestan. Hopes are high that these efforts will, when paired with farm mechanization and new agronomical colleges, increase crop yields exponentially while respecting the Mir's traditions. It is a balance. As councils of land division have appeared across Russia, the new reform program has entered the first official stages. Vast tracts of land have been earmarked for nationalization. Thousands of surveyors and judges are busy working through a decade of legal backlog. New artels, trade cooperatives, have been established to house and provide work for the influx of peasants into towns and cities. Unfortunately, not everyone has been pleased to discover what the reforms actually entail. SZRS party offices have been flooded with letters addressed to President Savinkov demanding he punish ministers for misinterpreting his orders. The elders of many villages are furious that the state has given rural officials not only a veto on the election of village headmen, but also reserved the right to appoint one if the locals prove difficult. That is basically carte blanche, because that's too vague. The consolidation of land strips have flared tempers, and while many peasants want land, few are keen on redrawing boundaries or leaving their home villages outright. Even the agronomic college scheme has received vitriol, with some letters arguing that time spent in classrooms is less time spent on the fields. Yes, but you have to make an investment to improve your methods of farming. Though the party's spirits have somewhat deflated, many are adamant that the reforms must proceed as planned and that these are simply growing pains. There will be undoubtedly more opposition in the future. Time will tell if the party is willing to pay the cost of confronting it. So we can keep the impact minimal, or we can get it done no matter the reaction. Yes, we are going to stay our course because as even Savinkov's inner circle believes, this needs to get done no matter the reaction. And if popular anger grows, then, well, so be it. Anyway, we need to rescue our encircled tank divisions here. And it is getting... I think we may be able to break through this, but it is getting increasingly difficult here. And I think we are no longer cut off because, hang on, who's on our side in this? That's the Nanjing Civil War. That is the Anqing clique versus the Nanjing. Okay, so that's these two. The other war is the left Kuomintang. So it's the insurgency versus the Nanjing clique as well. Yeah, so these are not on our side either. All right. So yes, we are in need of breaking out of here, but everyone's fighting everyone else pretty much at this point. So for now, we are still somewhat holding, but we are in need of trying to break through this. And we are very much out of fuel, so this is becoming an increasingly difficult fight here. We do have 4 enemy divisions engaged. These are a bit problematic because these are a little bit more capable. They also are suffering somewhat from supply, but we are now suffering pretty severely. The only thing that's really, the only saving grace here really is the fact that we are 5 divisions now. They're concentrating everything here. Okay, I think we can simply fall back here. There should be an opening. We don't need to fight this. Let's move and try to get the tank. We're fighting a rear guard action here, and then we will try to simply reconnect and get some supply, get some fuel. Oh, come on. Okay, we can beat this. We're fighting a rear guard action to get some fuel in here. And some ammunition, because that is going to get critical otherwise. And we might actually have to hold this just so we're not getting encircled, because that would be bad. So let's hold here while we are trying to break out through this exhausted division in the east. Today we received a secret message from the new Georgian government led by Chairman Yevgeny Gerenkory. In the wake of the German financial crisis, the Georgians are now thinking of finding a new ally. They are expected to re-examine the Treaty of Poti soon enough, and they hinted to us in the letter that they are ready to work with Russia if it offers them more favorable agreements. Georgia is quite isolated from the main forces of Germany and its allies, so it is difficult to say whether their offer is sincere or they are simply afraid of the growing power of Russia under Savinkov's leadership. However, there is no doubt that we should not reject any potential allies. Okay, so Georgia, where we will not supply resources. That's what I wanted to look for. Georgia doesn't really have many resources, so I'd say for now, Azerbaijan is one we want back. Georgia is a it's part of the Reichspakt, but we might be able to dislodge Georgia, which would be advantageous. Now we have a bit of a buffer towards the Ottoman Empire, and Azerbaijan is what we need to take the oil from. Yeah, sure. We guarantee the independence of Georgia now, which means they are still they are no longer in the Reichspakt, and they are now guaranteeing the independence of them. All right, troops in India have been falling back, so let's make a move north, although they're probably going to get there first. We'll shorten the lines here, so we are not going to defend this, but we are going to send one division north, and then we will try to see if we can break through towards Srinagar. They're going to get there first, so I think, let's see, if we move here, no, that is the same position. Okay, so no, let's not do that. All right, we'll hold here. No, we'll hold here, you move north, and then we'll stabilize the lines first. We have to work with our Chinese position here, where we are again fighting two enemy divisions here. The legation cities are voting for a bailout. Well, let's see how that goes. Good luck with that. We're fighting can we get some support here, please? We're fighting two enemy divisions. One of them is extremely exhausted, but I think we should be able to break through this while the Chinese are keeping the troops in the north busy here. Famine breaks out in Sichuan. Has long struggled with famine, rocky terrain and unpredictable weather keep populations low until the early Qing era, and when widespread land clearance and immigration incentives brought hordes of peasants to the province, in 1925 a lengthy drought turned into a devastating famine. Yeah, so this year absolutely does keep getting worse. All right, we have managed to break through. Okay, immediately fall back and get the lines reconnected here. Okay, friendly troops have actually crossed the river and are making moves in the north quite successfully. So do we have an opportunity? These guys look encircled, unless they're fighting on the same side. That's from the Qing government, actually. Okay, these insurgencies are crazy. In fact, shall we join the fight in the north here? Ooh, this is very tempting. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand the lines here a little bit. And we're then going to simply move north and see if we can get across the river while the tanks are getting... Okay, the Chinese are following suit. So we're risking once more... We're not really risking anything. If we can make our way... in fact, let's make sure that these are pinned. We'll make our way north, and we will see if we can... Oh, come on. Of course, they're counter-attacking. Okay, in that case... Yeah, then we're moving out. In that case, we rejoin the fight in the south. And we are trying to move north here to see if we can get the enemy troops encircled. That would be a major encirclement here. Let's quickly check back in India. Okay, we've got troops in position, but we are running a little short on equipment now, simply due to the absolute lack of production. So What are we going to do with Srinagar in the north? Can we move from here? And we would have to push. We would have to push through. I think we'll take Srinagar and see if we can consolidate the northern flank here. So let's try to take Srinagar and then move further north and cut off the whole northern flank and see if we can make that happen. All right. Tanks, we are pushing north. We have received some fuel deliveries from the ports. And I think, yeah, these troops are encircled. Perfect. So we are actually destroying these. And that means fewer troops to deal with. And if we can manage to get the encirclement completed here, that would be a massive advantage as well. Unfortunately, we are attacking across the river line. So yeah, we are not contributing an awful lot here. But once that division got destroyed, and we're immediately being pushed back. But it looks like they might be mostly breaking out at this point. And we are also in... Are we in multiple combat? Yes, we are in multiple combat. Okay, so here we will literally just have to defend for now. And just the same in the south, where we are going to get pushed back unless the infantry follows suit. It would be really good if we could close this pocket in the north. But that might be easier said than done. Once we have another opportunity. We have another opportunity to push, and we are not being attacked right now. So let's get the tank division in. We'll wait. We'll see if the infantry can join here before the tanks in the south have to retreat. In Afghanistan, we are pushing the enemy out of Srinagar, but we are immediately getting counterattacked. So that's actually fine. If we can move north into Srinagar and cut off the enemy troops here, then I'm fine to lose the territory all the way up to Peshawar, because there's no value in holding that anyway if we can't make it all the way to Lahore. So the bigger point is, can we move the mountaineers north before they are getting pushed back? And we'll try to hold here. We'll see, but I don't think we can hold that. Yeah, that's a lot of divisions. We have some firepower here, but the air force is now really causing us trouble. So we'll just fall back north and see if we can manage to cut off the troops there. In China, infantry has joined, so I can get the tanks to fall back. They no longer need to defend, and they can regain some of their organization. It looks like we might not be able to. Close this pocket, unfortunately. But we are definitely squeezing. We're definitely squeezing the enemy, and I think we can manage to breach towards the other side of the river. All right, last action for today, I think. We have created the VES. We'll look at that in a minute. And the snow is melting. Finally, it's May. The snow is finally melting. As Russia bears the aftershocks of Black Monday, as we do indeed, it has become starkly clear that the country is facing the worst economic crisis in a decade. The Verkhovny Ekonomitsky Soviet, or Supreme Economic Council, has been established in record time by presidential fiat, but it faces a daunting task. Chairman and Minister of Industry and Trade, Wozniacki, nevertheless delivered a widely reported speech to the Duma within days of his appointment, laying out Russia's immediate strategy for economic recovery. Let's see what he's come up with. With even short-term credit from abroad almost impossible to find and political unpalatable, the state has stepped in to recapitalize and nationalize a sizable portion of Russia's insolvent banks, placing them under the jurisdiction of a reorganized state bank. Okay, so we're nationalizing the banks. Given the weak reputation of the government as a borrower, plans have been put in place to issue bills of exchange through domestic proxy banks. Okay. Termed work bills, it is hoped that private sector investors will keep money flowing internally with the goal of having these investments reach maturity once the economy has stabilized. Okay, so we're selling the future. We're banking on the future. We're selling basically emergency bills, hoping that people will the interest is going to be fun on that one. Hoping that people will invest. Paired with harsh but focused austerity measures, the VES plan intends to balance finances by limiting government spending and maintaining internal liquid capital flows in public works programs. Public works, yeah. Though ambitious strategies are already being workshopped for a total industrial transformation, the short-term goal is to maintain employment levels as high as possible for simple subsistence. If all goes well, Russia's working class will be able to bear the brunt of this austerity with government support and be ready for an economic counteroffensive to win back the ground lost. Okay. So that unlocks new decisions? No. Why do I have 13 decisions? I can now do the industrial region. Where can I do this? Oh, this is this is a map-based decision thing. Okay, so what does this do? Let's have a look. So this gives me active for 60 days, and we get an additional factory slot and 10% construction speed. Okay, where is the best place to put that? I don't think it matters too much. Probably not in the front, directly on the front line, but where can we? Novgorod sounds good. Let's begin with Novgorod, and this is just a way to spend political power. What are we going to do next? We do need to do the Voshchod program, because that sounds like the public works program. Russian flavored, probably, in order to get over here, which gives us Black Monday relief, and a research slot potentially. We need 100 factories, which we are not quite at yet. This is all decisions, but urban housing is useful, and we have a few things available here, but we will see how that goes. Anyway, Voshchod program is next in order to unlock the urban housing. But that raises a question of funding. Consolidation of banks and issuing of the works bill has succeeded in bringing in some liquid capital from domestic investors, but it's a far cry from the total needed for all the state's expenditures and debts. Yes. With hyperinflation is probably your next problem. With the VES feverishly attempting to gather as much money as possible for the state's many planned reforms, the time has come to make the difficult choice of who to sacrifice for the nation's sake. Where are we? With public anger? 7. No, that's German. 6. Okay, 2 more. The first is to drastically cut military expenditures. So this would entail ceasing procurement of new equipment and furloughing as many troops as safely possible. The Stavka is incredulous at the suggestion that Russia's defenses be weakened to such an extent, to say nothing of their salaries. Yeah, of course. The second option is to instead target the public. Austerity can save rubles from otherwise being spent on social services. More importantly, the government can force farmers to once again sell their grain for export rather than waiting for prices to rebound. The peasants will be furious, but the state is struggling without the crucial agricultural exports that underpin much of Russia's budget. Okay, so we can take the money from the military. We can take the money from the farmers by forcing them to produce for export, even if it's not profitable. And the third approach is to draw foreign credit into Russia, no matter how unfavorable the terms may be. We can go further in debt abroad, but with whom? The Germans are in trouble as well. Given Savinkov's promise to break Russia's economic slavery to Germany, many will see such a decision as a surrender to the power that caused the economic catastrophe in the first place, and they will not be wrong. All right, so what options do we have? We can take it out of the military budget, which causes military chaos and increases the military anger. We can increase the popular anger, which we're going to go, or we can ask the Germans, which increases their economic influence. That's not helpful. The people will need to tighten their belts in these uncertain times. We cannot risk. So Savinkov's already seen that the military is absolutely essential and more than willing, if they no longer support him, to go and overthrow him. So while Kornilov himself and his immediate circle have been removed, there are probably others who have similar ideas. So that's out of the question. Going for the Germans is really out of the question either. But we have been able to convince Savinkov that it'll simply affect a few farmers and workers who will simply have to suffer for the future of the motherland. But it is the least bad option. So national populism has further decreasing. Where are we now? 14% support, although Savinkov believes that most of the people support him because we are feeding him bad intelligence. And the popular anger is at 7, so one more and then we get there. What do we got? Black Monday is still bad. That'll expire. That we need to start working on. That I don't even know. That's probably going to go away. And we've got popular anger. So all of these need to go away pretty much. That's not an awful lot of useful things here. But if plans work out and we can remove Savinkov from power sooner rather than later, then we can work on restoring the country to its greatness. Now, I've got 25 political power. Do we need that? What are we currently working on? The Voshchod program. I'm not sure if I'm going to need military power, political power for that, but I think establishing the industrial regions is going to be useful. So let's get that done. Industrial regions underway, and the projects are ongoing. So the war in Afghanistan is fluent, and we are falling back, trying to consolidate the northern front lines here, hopefully getting the Afghanis to actually fight their own war for a change, rather than relying on us. Well, Afghanistan has been pushed back quite significantly. So I think the simple numerical superiority of the Indian forces here is going to come into effect. We'll see if maybe we can clear out some troops in the north here. But I am not too hopeful about the whole thing. In China, we are, I think, consolidating the northern part of the country here relatively successfully. And we have, despite things getting sketchy for a little bit, under the skilled leadership of Stefan, we have, I think, managed to rescue our tank divisions for now. How are their equipment situations? They are a little short on things, but it's not too bad. All right, so we will continue the war in China, and we'll see what we can still pull in Afghanistan, but I think given the lethargy of the Afghani troops to actually get involved in the war, the Russian troops are not going to be able to pull that by themselves. But we will see how this goes. Anyway, we will continue all of that in the next episode.